What is going on, everyone? Hope you're all doing well. Today I have got a few news stories to get through in the world of tech concerning AMD RX Vega, Intel, as well as Nvidia graphics cards, so let's get fired right into it. Our first news story is courtesy of Anthony over at Tweaktown, who has spoken to some of his inside sources, I guess at AMD or maybe other people that have hands-on with the card, and he was able to get some leaked performance benchmarks on a few titles here with RX Vega 56 against the GTX 1070, and it is certainly looking like a huge competitor for that $400 price point. The RX Vega 56 is going to be at $399. It's the cheapest SKU in the Vega stack. So, looking at these performance numbers, we'll discuss the specs on the system. It was running along with an i7 7700K at 4.2 gigahertz and 16 gigabytes of RAM at 3 gigahertz. Now, the titles tested were Battlefield 1, Civ 6, Doom, and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. And as far as the settings are concerned, the source said that Battlefield 1 was run on Ultra, Civ 6 was on Ultra with 4 times MSAA, Doom was also at Ultra with 8 times TSAA, although we don't know if it was run on OpenGL or Vulkan, and then finally Call of Duty Infinite Warfare was run on its high preset. But taking a look at those numbers now with the RX Vega 56 and the GTX 1070 as reported over on Tweaktown, we can see that the RX Vega 56 is doing very well, beating out the GTX 1070 quite handily here in the select group of titles. We could see in Battlefield 1 it got 95 versus the 72 FPS of the GTX 1070, while in Civ 6 it was 85 to 72. Doom was at 101 to 85, and finally Call of Duty Infinite Warfare was the closest matchup, and that won by 100 to 92. So it was a clean sweep across the board in these 4 titles for Vega 56 versus the GTX 1070, which is really awesome to see this competition here at the market at the $400 price point. I'm starting to think that the Vega 56 is honestly going to be the most interesting GPU in the Vega family. While it might not necessarily be the most powerful, it's obviously going to be a lot more appealing to someone that doesn't want to go out and spend $500 to $600 on a graphics card, but rather like $400 to $450 when you consider AIB cards coming into play and how much those are going to possibly cost, with the reference model retailing for $399. So this is looking very interesting, and I'll be curious to see how many of you out there are interested in picking up the Vega 56 versus the Vega 64 variant, which is going to be priced a fair amount higher. Our next story is on Nvidia, who in their most recent driver 385.12, which I downloaded the other day, and I haven't had any issues with it so far, so if you've been waiting to update your driver, I can tell you that so far it's been very stable for me. I've had no issues with this driver. But the main thing to come out of this whole driver update was that on Titan X, and it appears Titan XP cards, that they have unlocked a lot of performance from that card with just a simple driver update. So they've basically delivered 3 times the compute performance that they previously had on these cards, delivering the performance you would usually have to pay about $5,000 for on a Quadro Pascal card. So this is really interesting that they've done this, and just, why would they do it? Honestly, I guess it's to compete with Vega, because Vega is going to come out, they're going to have really good compute performance on those cards, and they already have it on the Frontier edition of Vega. So, yeah, unlocking 3 times the compute performance as before seems to me like a definite response to AMD and what they're doing with their Vega graphics cards. Now, this is good news for anyone that already owns a Titan X or someone that wants to get a high level of compute performance with an Nvidia card. But if I was out there and I had already invested, if you run a business where you're relying on Quadro cards and you're spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on these GPUs, only to find out that a $1,200 card is now getting roughly the same performance as what you're getting for $5,000. I think I'd be a little upset, honestly, if I was buying lots of Quadro cards to run like AI stuff or what have you. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below as well. Our last story here should be if the first story should have been taken with a grain of salt, this one should be taken with a truckload of salt, because this is concerning Intel's Core i3 8300, which has been reported on OC3D as being spotted online with having 4 cores and 8 threads. Now, if this were true, which I don't think it is, it would be amazing, and it would be not only a response to Ryzen 3, but it would probably surpass Ryzen 3 in every way, having 8 threads, and also is reporting that it had a base clock of 4 gigahertz, which would be very fast, having 8 threads, and considering the pricing of where you usually see these CPUs around under $200, yeah, that would be amazing, having that level of performance on an Intel CPU. on the i3s, but I don't think that's going to be the case. They'd kind of be shooting themselves in the foot, and it really wouldn't even be a direct competition to Ryzen 3. It would probably beat Ryzen 3 by a hell of a lot, having 8 threads, whereas Ryzen 3 is only 4 cores, 4 threads. Now, I do believe that they're going to be transitioning into just straight quad cores on the i3 lineup, but the likelihood of them including hyper-threading, I don't think that's really going to happen. So you should really definitely take that with a truckload of salt, maybe 2 truckloads of salt. But I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here, guys. Please let me know your thoughts on all of the news and rumors and everything down in the comments below. I look forward to our discussion as always, especially that RX Vega 56 performance. That is insane if that all holds up to be true here with up against the GTX 1070. I think those will pretty much kill the 1070 in the market, and it won't really have much reason to be out there if it's getting beat by this much at the same price point. But also availability will be a big factor to come into play as well with the whole cryptocurrency mining thing going on. But I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here, guys, and I will catch you in the next video. Terra.